start with our fans. That was a great environment. We knew it would be, but it was electric in there, and our fans. They play a factor in that. They played a factor the other day, and it's hard to communicate, and it's, you can feel it in there, and we appreciate it. And I do believe it really is an advantage. It's a home field advantage, and not everybody gets it, and we do. And I'm glad we earned that. So fired up for us, fired up for the fans. We get 2 more here, so that's exciting. Start with the next thing would be, first of all, defense. What an unbelievable job. I mean, that was one of the best performances I think we've had all year. You could argue it was the best performance. And Aaron Glenn he's as good a coach as you're going to find. He's an even better human being. But look, if nobody wants him, I'll take him again. I can tell you that right now. But the thought of going through another cycle and he's not somebody's head coach is ridiculous. I mean, this guy is as good as they come, and he can do it all. He understands how to manage a game. He understands offense, defense, special teams. He knows how to communicate. He understands discipline of players, and he's motivating, man. He's inspiring. Anyway, I don't want to lose him, but I also root for the guy because I just think he's a hell of a coach. But what he did the other day and what that defensive staff did and what our players did to have the plan in place of what we knew we needed to do and to watch them bring it to life. Our players brought that plan to life, and they did it. And I mean, it speaks for itself. I mean, 3 of 13 on third down, 0 of 3, fourth down, 0 of 4 in the red zone, only gave up 5 explosives. 3 sudden changes really defensively, had to go out there and were able to hold them back. That's significant. That's significant. So, just can't say enough good things. That whole defense, top to bottom, it really is more about, who didn't play well than who played well, because we had so many guys that played outstanding. I mean, they're all getting the game ball over there. Offensively, once we hit the second half, really got going, and I felt like one of the biggest plays was what happened right before halftime. We get the ball at the 40-yard line, and offensively, end of half situation, man, 2 plays, and there we are within Bates's range, use the timeout. He goes out there and nails it, and that was pretty significant to go in at halftime with an extra 3 points there. And then, got the run game going. Gibbs was outstanding in the run and the pass game. The old line really came through for us. And Goff, after the second pick, I mean, he did some there were some high-level throws, high-level technique, fundamentals that was really good to see. You could tell it aggravated him, and he made huge plays for us. St. Brown was big for us. Laporta was big. I thought Tim Patrick played really well. So those guys showed up. Special teams, it was good to have Leaf back. Leaf, we didn't pop these big ones, but, man, you can just tell we're this close, and it's good to have him back, 14-yarder, 9-yarder. Vaki was really good, coverage in. And then the return aspect, Neiman did some good things in Hogan Hatton, a young guy for us that continues to get better and better. So it's just a hell of a win. Proud of the guys. It's not easy to do. I mentioned the other day, you get back-to-back division wins. We got the 1 seed, so we knocked out 2 of our goals this year, and we got 1 more to go. Questions? Enjoy it, just sit back for a minute and it's really one of those things where, for the players, you just want to keep the engine idling. That's probably the best way to say it, So you don't want to turn it off, but let's just leave it in idle. And really tomorrow they're going to have off. We're going to bring them in Thursday. We're going to go good on good, practice. And most of it will be situations, end of half, end of game. We'll come back Friday and do a full game, all out, 3 hours, full hitting, goal line, short yardage. hold on. Thursday we'll practice. It won't be in pads, but it will be into game situations, probably an hour, just to stay in flow. And little things that we need, little detail work that we can get, and that's for the guys that we know can go out there and move and work. And then after that, giving them 3 days off, and then they'll be back in Monday, and by then, hopefully we know the opponent, and we'll be ready to go.
How about the coaches? What sort of prep work, if anything, do you do with the teams that you could play? So how do you set up your week personally?
Yeah, it's really tough. It's because here's what I don't want to do, and I've been a part of it as a player and a coach. You don't know who you're playing, so then you start doing, you do leg work on another opponent, and then you find out it's not that opponent. And so, man, I don't want to do that to the coaches. So my plan is to give them off 3 days this weekend, refresh, get your sleep, get your rest. We're going to know hopefully by Sunday night. And then we come in, we'll know the opponent, and then we are full force on that, full game plan. We'll know who we face. We've really faced all of these teams with the exception of, as far as this one coming up, Washington. We haven't faced Washington this year, so they would be the one that we, and we're working on breakdowns. We'll have those, but, and then we'll go from there. I hate the thought of doing work on somebody you might not even play.
You mentioned Aaron Glenn and also Ben Johnson is in the mix as well.
Yeah.
What do you do, your coordinators in such demand? Is it partly because you empower them and give them so much leeway? And why do you do that? And how would you learn to empower them?
Yeah, well, look, their work speaks for itself. It has nothing to do with me. All right, both of those guys, man, they're smart, they're grinders, they're strategic, they understand how to teach, communicate, motivate, and so their work speaks for itself. And both of those guys are more than worthy of being head coaches. They're ready. They ask the right questions. I've tried to give them everything I think they need to be head coaches, and I believe that both of those guys are more than ready. But look, those two guys do a hell of a job, and so does Dave Phipp, our special teams coordinator, and so does Scotty Montgomery, the assistant head coach, who stands in front of the room for us every week. So he's a hell of a coach too. All right, and I don't want to lose any of those guys, but I mean, believe me, he's a head coach candidate. But yeah, those guys, I can't say enough great things about those coaches and the way they work, the way they grind, and have our players prepared to play the way we need to play going in on Sundays.
How much leeway do you have? Do you ever overrule their strategic?
We cover everything together. And it is rare for me to overrule something. It's rare.
Doesn't having the bye week kind of, I guess, open up their schedule? I know it's the first time they've had to handle interviews, but does the bye week give them a little more time, I guess?
Yeah, I think that helps. I think that's actually better. I mean, this time last year they're trying to do it. We didn't have a bye anything, and so you're trying to get things. They're trying to figure out ways to fit this in, and you'd love to have the opportunity to go to the next thing, but you also have an obligation with the team you're with. I mean, that's impossible. That's an impossible task. Whereas this, man, we put this game to bed. We had the players in today. We don't know who we're playing yet. It's time to kind of rest, relax. So now a little bit of that focus for those guys can go to, okay, here's the interviews that I'm getting ready for. Let me look at their rosters. Let me figure out, what's going on over at those other teams, who I can call, I just think it's really good for everybody. I'm going to come to you next, I promise you. I'm doing it. I'm coming to you next.
Are you expecting to have Montgomery next week?
I do. We got better news on Zeitler and Arnold. I can't guarantee that they're playing, but it's much better than it appeared to be when the injuries happened. So it's positive news. O'Connor is not as positive. It's the best way to say that for those three. Yes, ma'am.
About injuries too, but for long term, looking like Carlton Davis, Derek Barnes,
They're doing great. I don't see them coming back at all. Those players won't. I don't see them coming back at all. Yeah. Yeah, it's same thing. Look, I'm going to say it again. He has a season-ending injury, but if anybody can come back from this, it would be Aiden, is the best way to say it.
Going back to Sunday, obviously the game really kind of swung a lot on fourth down. How much do you attribute your success on fourth down, the fact that you go for it so much and the players are psychologically conditioned to execute it?
Well, I think there's something to the fact that because we do it and we do it in real time, real games. You know, you are in that. I guess you're under those elements. You know, you do it enough that it does. I think it. I do think it can help. I do think it helps, and I do think our guys, for the most part, look at it as it's just the next down, as opposed to, man, this is do or die. This is the last chance we met. If we don't get this, that's not how they look at it. They look at it, well, this is the next down. That was third down. This is fourth down. What's the difference? We just, you know. So I do think there is a benefit to that, and they understand that. They view it, and I think they've figured out a little bit of who I am over time now. This didn't just pop up. So I think they have a pretty good grasp of when we're going to do it, when we're not. Some games we go in saying we're going to be more aggressive than others. Sometimes it just kind of flows that way.
Do you think that your fourth down aggressiveness leads over maybe to the other team? That they might have, like Sunday, they went for it on fourth down more when they were offside on the jump. They probably thought you were definitely going to go for it. That might help them because how much you guys do that.
I do think there is some of that to where teams know coming in that they may need to be more aggressive because of the fact we're going to be. And yeah, I do think there is some of that. I really do. And it does help, you know. I do think it is when you're able to do it as much as we've done it, then it just validates the fact you're going to go for it on fourth. And then you got to decide if you want to play that game with us or not, you know. Because I also know there's plenty of coaches that are telling their guys, look, he's going to mess this up. That head coach over there he's going to make a decision that's going to cost their team, and we'll just stay true to what we do. And you can't argue with that either, you know. There's no right or wrong to it, in my opinion. I just know my right.
With that a little bit, do you think you force other teams to maybe get out of their comfort zone somewhat too? You know, Minnesota went maybe they don't do that quite as much.
I mean, possibly, yeah, possibly. But I think you also know going into the game, you're probably going to need to be that way. So I think you probably practiced that and kind of talked about that, and so I think it could have a little bit of an effect, you know, but I don't know how much.
Last two, Brad and Corey. We saw Goff get emotional talking about you on the NBC postgame show again. You're never afraid to show your emotions. He's gotten emotional talking about you in the past. What does it say about that room you have, this building here, with people that aren't afraid to share their emotions and show their emotions about one another?
I mean, look, I've said it all along. This is a special group of guys, and we've just, you know, I think when you bring in the kind of players and coaches that we have that are made a certain way, that you have to be made a certain way, or you're not even coming here anyway. You know, that's just not who we are. But then when a majority of us, or the biggest collection of these guys have been, I just mentioned it again, have been through what we've been through since 21. I mean, Goff and I went through all that in 21, you know, St. Brown, Sewell, Decker, Ragnow, you know, Alex. I mean, and so that's kind of it's just, we have a whole different perspective on things, and we know what it was like when it wasn't good, you know, and the fact that you're doubted, you're not good enough, you don't know what you're doing, you're not very smart, you can't process, you're throwing the ball out of bounds on fourth down, your coach is a meathead. You go through this whole deal, but yet you look at each other and you trust each other. Even in the bad times, you know that you can win with that guy. You can look at each other and say, we're doing things right, it's going to happen, and they trust it, and we all believe in each other, and I think that's where it all starts. And everybody that we brought in are our type of guys, and they've added to that, they've fueled that, and I think they really I think they really love the guys they're next to. I think they really appreciate the guys they're next to. And we talk about it all the time, man. You come in here, man, endear yourself to your teammates. That's big. That's a big thing for us. Because if you don't endear yourself to your teammates, I'm not going to have to do anything. They'll cut you out of here. And it's just big, man. We got a special group.
Yeah, you talked about giving their coaches some R&R the next couple of days. Somebody that eats the breathe the game as much as you. What does that look like for you these next couple of days?
I'll have to drink the game. I'm going to get a little bit. I'm going to get a little bit of, work over the next 2 days. Like I said, we'll practice, and then I plan on getting out of here a little bit. I'll have stuff with me, and there'll be some little things I'm working on, things that I know that I can do better, get better at, things that I want to look at, do my own checklist as it pertains to us, like over the last, call it 5 weeks, 6 weeks. But other than that, man, I want to spend time with my family and just sit back for a minute and just charge back up and be ready to go.
Did you see the reaction AG got at the Pistons game?
I heard, Eamon told me, it's awesome. It's the best, man. I do think there's a chance we get Rake back. He's trending the right way, too. Yes, sir. All right, thanks. Have a good one.